Fort Branson stood on the windy hills of Montana. Soldiers there quickly learned who was strong and who was weak. Labels came fast and they stuck. In everyone's eyes, Private Claire Donovan was weak. She was small, narrow-shouldered, her hands trembled when carrying a meal tray. To most, she was a mistake, someone they wondered how she even made it into the Army. In the mess hall, the whispers followed her everywhere. She couldn't even lift her rifle. A stiff wind would knock her down. Sniper! Don't make me laugh. No one knew that Claire's eyes could lock onto a target 800 meters away. No one knew that she was trained for silence, patience, and impossible shots. During drills, Claire was always quiet. When running through the mud, others surged forward while she stayed behind. Soldiers shook their heads, smirked, and dismissed her as unfit for the Army, especially Private Lucas Briggs, who made her his favorite target. "Hey, Donovan! That rifle's taller than you. Careful you don't topple over," the squad roared with laughter. Claire only lowered her eyes, lips sealed, saying nothing. What none of them saw was how, at night, she snuck to the firing range alone, her breathing steady, her patience unshakable. Every bullet cut through the darkness and landed dead center. Claire's bunk was always squared away, her uniform spotless, her boots polished. But none of this mattered to the others. They only saw the surface, a small, quiet, weak soldier. But Claire knew something they didn't. True strength doesn't shout. It waits. One morning, the entire unit was called to assembly. The yard filled with boots, commands echoing, officers walking the lines. Claire, as usual, seemed invisible. Shoulders low, eyes down. Lucas Briggs leaned toward the man beside him and whispered, "Watch this. Command's gonna chew her up. Weakest one here. Snickers spread through the ranks." Claire's cheeks flushed, but she stayed silent. Then Captain Harris strode into the yard. His voice was sharp, his presence heavy. Soldiers stiffened instantly. He walked the line, scanning each face. Then he stopped, right in front of Claire Donovan. For a long moment, he simply looked at her. Then he lifted his hand and pointed at her chest. "Do you see this?" he barked. Every eye turned to Claire's uniform, and there it was, something no one had ever noticed before. A medal gleaming faintly in the morning sun, the U.S. Army Sharpshooter Marksmanship Medal, one of the hardest marksmanship distinctions to earn. Captain Harris's voice cut like steel. "This soldier, the one you laugh at, is one of the finest snipers in this country." The yard went still. Soldiers exchanged stunned glances. A few looked down in shame. Lucas Briggs's smirk froze on his face, evaporating into silence. For the first time, Claire lifted her head. Her eyes swept the ranks, not trembling, not timid, but sharp and steady. The look of someone who had endured mockery, carried silence, and still proved deadly accurate. Her message needed no words. "My silence was weakness only in your eyes. My medal is my truth." Most soldiers didn't recognize the sniper's insignia. To them, it looked like just another shiny decoration. But seasoned officers knew the truth. This medal wasn't earned on some training range. It was given only to those who could hold their breath, steady their hand, and pull the trigger with one single chance that changed everything. Her name was Private Lynn Carter. Quiet, always sitting alone in the mess hall, never drawing attention. But her past carried a mission no one knew about. A mission sealed in silence, only a few lines in an official report. On that mission, from 1,200 meters away, one shot she fired saved an entire squad from certain death. Captain Harris turned to the gathered soldiers. "This medal is only worn by the finest snipers in the U.S. Army. While you called her weak, she was the one who could save your entire team with a single bullet." His words echoed across the concrete courtyard. Laughter died. Silence pressed heavy on every chest. To prove herself, a test was arranged. Skeptical eyes followed as Lynn walked to the long-distance range. The wind howled, the target barely visible on the horizon. Yet she remained calm. Kneeling down, she set her rifle, controlled her breathing, and squeezed the trigger. The crack of steel ringing dead center silenced the entire line of soldiers. In that moment, they understood. The woman they mocked as weak was, in truth, the deadliest sniper among them. Lynn Carter didn't win with noise. She won with silence and the respect of all who watched. At dawn, when the first rays hit the dirt field of Fort Redwood, everyone had already heard the news. A new test had been arranged for Lynn Carter. This wasn't just another shooting drill. It was the moment that would silence every doubt. Soldiers formed a circle, some curious, some still smirking. Whispers cut through the morning air. She just got lucky with that shot. The wind helped her. She'd choke in a real fight. Captain Harris stood quietly in the background. For him, the result was never in question, but the soldiers needed to see it with their own eyes. Lynn knelt and slowly unzipped her case. From it, she drew her own rifle, not the standard infantry issue, but a long, battle-worn precision weapon. Its matte finish broke the sunlight, its steel cold but flawless. The murmurs fell quiet. She set the rifle, adjusted the scope, and didn't rush. Instead, she studied the world around her. She watched the flags flapping on tent poles. She followed the trail of dust dancing far on the horizon. She was reading the wind. A couple of privates chuckled. What's she doing? Math homework. They didn't understand. For a sniper, every breath, every twitch of the wind was the line between life and death. The target was set at 1,500 meters, a distance most trained soldiers couldn't even see, let alone hit. Lynn's eyes never wavered. She looked through the scope, and the world fell silent. Her heartbeat slowed. Time stretched thin. Her finger pressed the trigger. The shot cracked, and a second later the steel target flashed red, dead center. The doubters froze. Before they could even mutter lucky, Lynn fired again. A spinning metal disc at mid-range. Clang, direct hit. Then a balloon dancing in the wind. Pop, shredded into nothing. 5 shots, 5 hits, each one calm, deliberate, perfect. Captain Harris stepped forward. Do you understand now? His voice was firm, resonant. This medal isn't decoration. It's survival. Carter didn't win it at a shooting range. She earned it in the mountains of Afghanistan with a single bullet that kept her entire squad alive. You called her weak. I call her the sharpest set of eyes in this base. The courtyard fell heavy with silence. Pride and shame tangled in every soldier's chest. Lynn locked her rifle, stood and slung it over her shoulder. No smile, no celebration, just quiet composure. Because for her, this wasn't a performance. It was a truth she had carried for years, finally allowed to breathe. One pair of hands began to clap, then another. And then the entire training field echoed with applause. But Lynn didn't turn to them. She walked calmly toward the shade, leaving her silence behind like a banner more powerful than any roar. From that day forward, no one called her weak. A new whisper spread through the barracks. Carter speaks with one bullet. Carter is the shadow in the silence, and her medal, once mocked, once misunderstood, was no longer just a piece of metal. It became a story etched in every soldier's mind, a story of quiet courage, of honor deeper than pride. That day, Lynn Carter spoke with a single bullet. The mocking voices fell silent. The dismissive stares disappeared. No one called her weak anymore, because everyone understood. True strength doesn't shout. True strength takes aim in silence and never misses the mark. If this story inspired you, make sure to hit the like button. It really helps us reach more people who need to hear these powerful stories. Don't forget to subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you never miss the next tale of courage, sacrifice, and honor. And in the comments, tell us where you're watching from. We love seeing how far these stories travel.